Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. Central Time as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. You may find us on the radio at iacradio.media, where we are Fox News affiliates. You can also find us on television, Channel 182 Charter. You can also find us on Abundance Television Syndicated, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. Continue sending emails, by the way. I love your emails. Let's go ahead and dive in. I could not wait to talk with this guy. As a matter of fact, I couldn't sleep for 2 nights thinking about this. So,
we want to talk yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah, we could. Author, speaker, attorney Don Brown is with us right now. Everybody, you're like a regular segment of this show, so everybody's used to you by now. But a wonderful, wonderful thing. And you are on a secluded island somewhere?
Fripp Island, South Carolina, beautiful Beaufort County. Drove down here the Wednesday morning after Trump's victory, and on about maybe 3 hours sleep. I got up and did an interview at 7 after going to bed like at 2:45, 3 when Fox called it. CNN did not want to call it yet, so but I was satisfied that we were in good shape. So it's been a couple days enjoying the victory here.
Yeah, very, very happy. Turned out better than I expected. I just knew. Okay, I was excited when the election night, but I was fearing when I woke up in the morning we would get a repeat of what happened 4 years ago. And so I'm sure some cheating was going on, no problem. But I think Trump probably had something implemented. He was on them this time. First time, shame on me. Next time, shame on you.
The president this is the most brilliantly executed presidential campaign I've ever seen, because all of us as conservatives have been nervous about early voting because the Democrats have used it to cheat. Trump turned it on their head and banked votes. And I'm telling you, Donna, he banked votes of people that had never voted before. I have a nephew of mine who's a libertarian. All of a sudden, he's a Trump supporter. His wife had never even registered. She registered and voted for Trump and put it on their social media. And it goes on and on and on. And when you bring in people like that have never been part of the system, who inherently trust the president, but also know that the Democrats are a bunch of buffoons and their candidate was a buffoon on steroids, you can grow your base. And right now, Trump has expanded, what is the Republican Party into something more powerful and larger than it's ever been, because he's brought in libertarians, he's brought in, Democrats who are good people who are disgusted with what has happened to that party that they used to be a member of. He's brought in Latinos, black males, huge, tremendous progress. State of California, I'm staying here with some friends from California, and of course they're conservative and Christian, but the red counties, there are more red counties than blue counties in California. Of course, he didn't win California, but he came within, a 60-40, which is closer than it's been in years, even in New York. So he's cutting into a lot of these big blue states, which is why he won the popular vote. And it's a great day. It's a great week for the country. We still have to continue to pray for his safety. There's a lot of Trump derangement syndrome out there. And but I'm hoping that this time we're going to hit the ground running and not. We have to listen. The Democrat Party, as we know it, has got to be obliterated. We cannot take any prisoners here. What they try to do to this country, weaponizing the justice system, trying to use the power of government to suppress free speech on Facebook and other media modicums, trying to force transgender surgeries into the military to weaken it. We have to destroy this Democrat Party politically, so that it can't rise into the destructive force that it's been. So we've got to really take the momentum and really put the pedal to the metal and really finish them off at this point. It has to happen. And hopefully we're going to finish up with the House of Representatives and have a full Republican Congress. And this time, no more John McCain's doing a thumbs down on Obamacare. The rhinos got to get in line or get out, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, my sentiments exactly. But I wanted to mention something to you, and I've seen a change in a lot of different things. Okay, prior on Facebook, I could post something out there, and it actually didn't show I was receiving any results. Like, not that many people were watching. However, the very first thing I posted the day after the election, it was just a simple post, and it was about the red wave. So it's taken over. So when I looked, within just a few hours of posted that, I already had 7,000 viewers on it. 7,000?
Too.
I mean, so what's happening there?
Well, I mean, who knows? Really, who knows? I suspect, though, that Facebook is concerned about Trump coming in and reviewing their actions and policies.
Could be.
And they're trying to get in line, maybe. I'm theorizing because I don't have any inside information on this, but it makes all the sense in the world. They know what's coming, and so, they don't want, the FTC to take action against them. They don't want to be deplatformed. They have been an instrument of the Democrat government, especially carrying out censorship directives from Biden. I mean, as I've said before, Mussolini himself said that corporatism is the cornerstone of fascism. In other words, you have these tyrannical governments using big companies to carry out their tyranny. And that's what the Democrats have done. They use Bank of America, these big social media platforms like Facebook, and not just Bank of America. I'm talking about big Fortune 500 companies to carry out woke stuff, to carry out all their, censorship stuff, to force Christians, to accept all kinds of things. But then if we want to have our, prayer meetings or whatever within their company, that gets shut down. So social media has been an instrument of big government. It has, in fact, been a fascist plan. When the Biden government was using these big companies to try to force vaccines on people, that is tyrannical, and that is fascism. So I suspect that Facebook, they've probably been told by their attorneys, listen, we're going to have a full review the day Trump takes office, and we got to start looking like we're not suppressing. And I'm hoping that is the case, but I can't say for sure. I suspect that may be what's happening here.
I'm just finding that since the election, since that morning after the election, my analytics have just went through the roof, and it has to be something like that, Well,
that plus people are elated also, I mean, people just like, phew, wow. And, for a long time, only very few of us would speak out. But in the recent, last couple of months, more people are stepping forward. Some are still afraid, whatever. Yeah. My cousin Walt called me, and we used to have this joke. He lives in Raleigh. He said nobody ever admitted to vote for Jesse Helms, but he never lost an election. You see a lot of the same thing like with Trump. There are people that won't admit, but by golly, there's a lot of elation out in this country this week, and rightly so.
You mentioned the different groups of people who voted for Trump. The Amish came out in big form.
And I think that's one of the reasons Pennsylvania swung the right way. Well, they saw what the Democrats were trying to do to them. I mean, Amish tried, you got to love the Amish. They're some of the most peaceful, resourceful, wonderful people in the world. But they had taken a philosophy, we'll just keep to ourselves and pray and it won't matter. But then they started seeing tyranny, and they understood it did matter. And by golly, you could see the horse and buggies out, headed toward the polls.
That was awesome.
And, but that's just think about it. I mean, this coalition that the president has put together, listen, Donald Trump, Donna, is going to be one of the most significant presidents in American history. He already is. What's happened here is gigantic. It's only the second time in American history that a president has skipped the term and won again. The first time was Grover Cleveland. But you look, I mean, I'm a student of American history, maybe not as astute as some, but this president is a giant on the landscape of presidential history, an absolute giant. We've never seen anybody like him in our lifetime. In his ability to connect with the middle class, and I love Ronald Reagan. I mean, I'm a disciple of Ronald Reagan, a great communicator. But in terms of being able to show up and have 50,000 people show up on a moment's notice, this president, Donald Trump, has an ability to relate to the average working man and working woman in a way that nobody has. And his resilience is beyond anything we've ever seen. All the things they've thrown at him, from dropping Billy Bush on him a week before the 2016 election, to multiple impeachments, to multiple prosecutions, to now multiple assassination attempts, and he just keeps coming right back. We need to enjoy this moment historically while we can. There are people out there that flip out over him. Friends of mine, I'm not going to vote for the liar, the tyrant, blah 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 blah. But we don't. And I've had discussions with other Republican friends, DeSantis supporters. I just wish he changed the way he talks about. So listen, the way he talks is the reason he's as popular as he is. And your guy's not going to come within 10 miles of ever touching him. And it is really an amazing historical time that we live in. For this president, Donald Trump, to be able to bring a coalition with Bobby Kennedy, Elon Musk, Tulsi Gabbard, Vivek Ramaswamy, who really had no political. Ramaswamy and Elon are similar in some ways, or even Joe Rogan. They really were not even politically active. Ramaswamy wasn't politically active, but they have seen what this Democrat Party has done in terms of threatening our freedoms and threatening our nation, and they've seen how Trump has taken a direct stand against it. And I'm telling you, this is a significant time in our history, and this guy is no average guy. As I mentioned to you, Don, I watched all of his interview with Joe Rogan, all 3 hours. Watched a couple of bites, a couple of segments, but I came away more impressed with that guy, and my opinion, my respect for him is already through the roof. He pardoned my client, Lieutenant Clint Lawrence, in 2019. Nobody else would have. We worked hard with the White House on that. And he had the gravitas to do it. Only he had the gravitas to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, or to move our embassy there when the State Department bureaucrats are going to start a war. He just blew them off. But this guy, the way he commands a conversation in that Rogan interview, he goes from talking about the history of the relationship between Abraham Lincoln and Robert E. Lee. Lincoln could not defeat Lee. Or to the melancholy depression that Lincoln and his wife, Mary Todd, have over their son, Ted. And he goes from there to talking about William McKinley and his position on tariffs and the Blue Ribbon panel, and points out something that I never even thought about, really, that the United States exploded in the Industrial Revolution in the late 1800s, early 1900s, at a time when there was zero income tax. If you think about that, because income tax never came along to the Woodrow Wilson administration, but it was the Industrial Revolution in the 1880s through the 1920s that led to the industrial might that led us win 2 world wars. People don't consider that. But this guy has a command of history. He's got a command of geography. He's got a command of politics. He was even talking about 12 rhubarb concrete that he would like to see in nuclear reactors, because there's could Kamala even do that for a second, or nobody else really?
No.
This man, Donald Trump, is larger than life. I mean, he's a human. He's not perfect, but on the political landscape and historical landscape, you can think of the presidents maybe larger than life. Of course, there's Washington, there's Lincoln, Jefferson, the founding fathers, Lincoln. Then you get into Teddy Roosevelt, you get into Harry Truman, you get into FDR because of where they were historically. You get into JFK, you get to Reagan, and now you got Trump, and all the rest of them are, they're
pale in comparison as far as I'm concerned. And I've always utmost respect for those past presidents. But I want to get your opinion about this, because it's rare to win the electoral vote and the popular vote. He got both of them.
He did. And,
you can't argue with that.
Well, he did. But, I'll level with you. They say he did not win the popular vote in California in 2016. I have no faith in the way they're counting in California. So that's what they say. I'm not sure I'm fully convinced of that. But this time, there's no question. This was such an electoral monsoon, as you and I had talked before, that the Democrats could not even get in there and say, we're going to hold up to count these votes or those votes. They were just swamped, which is the way he laid it out, the way he planned it. One of the smartest moves he made was putting his daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, and Michael Whatley, the former chair of the North Carolina Republican Party, in charge of the RNC. And so we were ready with legal teams ready to go, countering the Democrats at every move. And it didn't hurt the fact that their candidate was so weak, but it's just not. I heard Greg Gutfeld. I mean, they're trying to, some of these Democrats are trying to rationalize, it was a race thing. America's not ready for a black or a woman. Hey, first of all, you already elected Obama twice. So it's a bunch of junk. But the fact of the matter is that she was a very weak candidate, an extremely weak candidate. Look, Virginia, which went blue but almost went red, elected a black woman as their lieutenant governor, Winsome Sears, who was a conservative superstar and who I would vote for in a heartbeat if she were, in one of the two, president or vice presidential positions in the Republican Party. There are superstars. But this candidate was about as weak. She may have been weaker than Biden. I'm not sure. I've gone back and forth who would have been weaker. I can't say. But it isn't just the fact that candidate's weak and the whole racial stuff which they try is a bunch of junk. I have to watch what I say in the presence of a lady. But you know what
I'm thinking what you are. I'm just not saying it. Okay.
But it's their philosophies, Donna. It's their philosophies. All the woke stuff. You know, Biden puts in these dudes wearing women's dresses when he comes in. He puts dudes wearing women's dresses in the U.S. military. People don't want to see that crap. I mean, then they come in and it's LBGTQ ABCDEFG
I can't even keep up with it anymore.
Because they're trying to divide people. They're trying to get LBGTQR, whatever the W is. Oh, they'll go to the W people and get on board. They're trying to get people worked up against just to divide. And the American people have seen through that. You know, all these indictments, Trump facing hundreds of years. They thought they could take him down on all that. They attacked him on multiple fronts in multiple courts. And by golly, the American people saw through the crap and knew that it was political, knew that the Democrats overplayed their hand. And when you overplay your hand enough, it comes back to bite you in the derriere, and that's exactly what happened, and praise God for it.
Let's talk about your book for a few minutes because, you know, folks, you really need to buy this book, the latest one. Talk about it and how folks can find it.
Thank you. The book is Kangaroo Court, and I thought I had a copy of it here somewhere. I may have a copy. I'll get it in a second. But it's Kangaroo Court, which is released by Post Hill Press out of New York last week, and I've been doing some interviews on the book. The book looks at political prosecutions, Donna. And, you know, the Trump prosecutions have brought all this to light because we know how ridiculous these things are. But the Democrats started using political prosecutions as a weapon about 30 years ago. So we look at about 20, 25 cases leading up to the Trump case just to show how they've used it over and over again, how they destroy people. And it isn't just politicians, although they went after the governor of Virginia, Bob McDonnell. Jack Smith, the same guy going after Trump, went after McDonnell, got him convicted on something ridiculous, which is reversed 8-0 by the Supreme Court. Even the Democrats reversed it, but it cost McDonnell $27 million. They went after Tom DeLay, the former Speaker of the former House Majority Leader, but they also got to ordinary people. So we talk about like Mark Houck and Paul Vuong. These were peaceful pro-life fathers who were peacefully protesting, one in Philadelphia, one in the Nashville area. But because the Supreme Court reversed Roe versus Wade, the Biden Justice Department went after him on felonies. They prosecuted Douglas Mackey, who was a cartoonist, who in 2016 does a cartoon lampooning Hillary Clinton voters as being dumb. They're pretty funny. You see cartoons all the time. They can be funny. I mean, they're funny on both sides. 5 years later, in 2021, when Biden steals the office, the Biden Justice Department prosecutes Douglas Mackey in New York. So the book looks at these prosecutions leading up to the Trump prosecutions. Of course, they're not blow away the arguments that these Democrats make in their prosecutions and excoriate Jack Smith and Fannie Willis and Letitia James and Alvin Bragg and go after him pretty hard. And the book closes arguing that we need what I call rogue prosecutor law, so that these prosecutors are prosecuted themselves as they bring these things. We don't have them. The Congress needs to pass those. So I hope everybody will go to Amazon and look up Kangaroo Court by Don Brown and read it. And let's take action on this point. We can't just let this go away. If we don't, that's what I said earlier. We've got to put our foot on the pedal, put the pedal to the metal, and finish the job here. Because Trump comes in, comes out. He's going to have 4 years. They'll be right up to the same shenanigans if we don't take a blowtorch to them. And I mean that politically. Anybody watching this right now, we have to go after the Democrats, and we got to take them down. We've got to destroy their philosophy, including the philosophy of these political prosecutions as a weapon against average Americans, against our Constitution.
I've been thinking about this, Don. I'm going to have to come up with a new gig because I'm going to miss making fun of Kamala. I mean, I had it going on there making fun of her. I'm going to have to find a new gig.
Well, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on your perspective, you're going to have. I wish we didn't have any Democrats to make fun of. I wish they'd all just go to leave the country like they threaten to do every time Trump gets elected. But they'll resurface. I mean, you've got Adam Schiff now, the Senate. I mean, you've got all kinds of clowns, Jamie Raskin, Chuck Schumer. They're still there. We'll have plenty of cannon fodder to ridicule for sure. I just hope they don't get too much power. But you're going to have plenty of targets to have fun with, Donna. So I wouldn't worry too much,
Believe me, it'll be a nice thing to be rid of her. Really. Okay. So is she, do you think she is finished politically?
Oh, yeah. I think that she wants to think otherwise. But yeah, I think she's
She's
finished.
done.
But if you stop and think about it, Donna, she tried to run for president against Biden the first time, going into 2020, 2019, 2020, and didn't win a single state, dropped out, didn't even win California, as I recall, and had to drop out immediately because she couldn't raise any money. She's a horrible candidate. She's been propped up from the beginning. You know, she was associated with Willie Brown. You can use your imagination on that. Her association with Willie Brown helped her to to climb the ladder locally in San Francisco to get into DA's office. But she has no critical ability of independent thought, none. And it became obvious. I mean, every time she spoke, it hurt her. I don't think. I mean, could she go back to California and get elected in San Francisco? If she wanted to do that, she might. But on the national stage, no, I don't think so. There have been some instances historically where we've had vice presidents go back into the Senate. For example, Hubert Humphrey was one who was vice president, later became a senator from Minnesota. But California's already got radical senators, so there's no room for her. So I think she's done, to answer your question.
Yeah.
Much to her chagrin.
I'm going to miss it, though. Have you been seeing the memes on Facebook where Trump is actually in a car going to McDonald's and she's behind the window? This guy is just, he's a genius when it comes to promotion. I mean, he can do it. So many things they threw at him and he threw it right back.
Right.
Most people wouldn't be able to think that fast.
Well, that's one of the things that made him so mad at him. He was so good at it. It just infuriated him. Just absolutely infuriated him. And, the meltdown seemed to be a little different from the first meltdown. They seem frustrated, crying and weeping, but they're kind of like, I mean, what can you say when you get beat that bad? I was watching The Five. I watched that sometimes in the afternoon on Fox, and Jessica Tarlov, she took her medicine. Hey, this is a repudiation. She's one of the designated Democrats on this show. This is a repudiation of the Democrat Party and a Democrat philosophy. And if Democrats don't learn from this, there's nowhere to go. They're pretty arrogant. And she pointed out, you can't call people garbage. You can't call people deplorables. I had I won't say the name of the lady out of respect for her, but I had an ongoing debate with a very prominent woman Democrat politician in North Carolina who was elected to statewide office, who decided she wanted to debate me on Facebook Messenger. I said, okay, bring it on. So she says, she starts with this line, Republicans are the rhetoric. The rhetoric is just mean. I said, who's calling who a Nazi? Who's calling who garbage?
Come on.
So we get past that, and then it's like she's trying to send me these articles. The Democrats will try to send articles from some beanhead to try to argue they're doing better than they really are. I said, listen, when's the last time you go to a grocery store? And she was inflation this, inflation that. I said, listen, you know what? And I know who she is. So I said, you don't care really, because it doesn't affect you whether gasoline's at $1 a gallon or $10 a gallon. But there are millions of us who it hurts. The cost of groceries hurt. She says, well, I grew up in a poor family. I said, well, apparently you've forgotten the pain and don't understand why people are mad as hell as these Democrats. And finally, she is trying to get on me saying that the president can have no control over the price of gas. So she sends these two articles, one from Forbes and one from another economist, basically arguing that prices are set by the free market. Now, in a general vacuum, that may be true, except I wrote her back and I said, I've read the articles. I'm not persuaded because your articles do not touch in the least bit, one iota, on the effect of the president's ability to regulate through the BLM, Bureau of Land Management, through the EPA, through any number of other agencies that they can come in and just, which is what Biden did. He shut drilling down. He's closed lots of drilling in Alaska, shut off offshore drilling, killed pipelines. And so a government's actions can artificially cause inflation by using its power to shut down an industry. Ask the people of West Virginia if the president has power to affect an economy, because Obama basically killed the coal industry in West Virginia and parts of Ohio through EPA regulations. And so I sent that back to her. I didn't hear anything else from her, but they've lost touch. And I told her to encourage us, you should leave the Democrat Party. And if anybody's in my voice out, hearing my voice, and you're a Democrat, you leave them. You put your country ahead of your party like Bobby Kennedy did. And Bobby Kennedy put his country ahead of his party. And it's not because Bobby Kennedy was necessarily in love with President Trump. He tried to run as a Democrat, but they shut him down, wouldn't let him debate. Then they sued him to keep him off the ballot. And Trump was reasonable, and they agreed on certain positions. For example, Ukraine, censorship, and so if you're a Democrat, leave the party, leave it forever. Don't go back to it. It has become, they're basically, the national, now be clear, not all Democrats are this way. I have relatives who are Democrats, but a national Democrat party and its intellectual epicenter are a bunch of English-speaking communists. And they are not America first. They are globalists first. And they're seeking through their policies to destroy the country.
They're their pocketbook first is what they are.
So
There's no way you can go in very poor as someone in office and then come out a millionaire. I mean, that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
How does that happen? Tell me how that happened.
Yeah, I'd like to know that. Let's go into a commercial break. Can you believe half the show is already over? We'll be right back in just a few minutes. Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of the Cobb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring. But the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Donna's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities. The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. Good afternoon. We're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. I love having this guy on the show with me, Don Brown, attorney, author, speaker. Is there anything else you can add to that business card of yours?
I would say jack of all trades and master of none, especially a master of none part, Donna. So.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Thank you again always for being on the show with me. As a matter of fact, it's very rare I have someone on the show before the election and after the election. And you're my guy. You're the one.
I'm glad we're smiling both before and after the election.
I am too. I am too. You know, gnashing of teeth is going right now, though, with some people. I'm seeing it. It's some of my liberal friends, and I just want to console them. And I'm not trying to be obnoxious. I'm really not. Do homework, guys. Please do homework. Listen to me, okay? Listen. Do homework. It will benefit you later on.
Well, Donna, I have seen some who I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, anti-Trump. I voted for him this time, he says. In fact, we talked before he voted for Trump, and he wound up voting for Trump. So, you know, there is value to continuing to preach truth. And sooner or later, some of the stuff the light bulb may just go on. And so keep on doing what you're doing. Like my daddy would say, keep on keeping on, Donna, you know. And the only way to
you keep on keeping on, too. And I know you are, because you don't exhaust out. I've got to see you somewhere in that cabinet with President Trump. There's got to be something for you there. Oh, I wanted to ask you a question. Okay, so before I get to that, though, let's talk about your book. You've got a copy of it now.
I do have a copy. The book is Kangaroo Court. You can see it right there. And it is released by Post Hill Press out of New York. The subtitle is How Dirty Prosecutors and Sleazy Lawyers Destroy Political Opponents, Attack Free Speech, and Subvert the Constitution. So the book was just released, and it talks about the Trump cases at the end of the book. The last third about the cases that the president's been under fire for in the last couple of years. The first 2/3 of the book, we look at different cases where the Democrats have gone after not only conservative politicians like Rick Perry and Ted Stevens and the governor of Virginia, Bob McDonnell, but also going after average Americans like pro-life fathers, Paul Vaughn and Mark Houck and Douglas Mackey, who was prosecuted only for a meme or a cartoon lampooning Hillary voters. So the book makes the argument that we need to prosecute these prosecutors. We don't have laws in place. But if you're going to go after somebody and prosecute them only because you disagree with them politically or disagree with what they're saying, or they're pro-life and you're pro-abortion, and so you're going to teach a lesson that people don't come out and speak for life, you're going to prosecute them. Those prosecutors should be subject to prosecution. So we need rogue prosecutor laws. I hope Congress will look at rogue prosecutor laws. So that somebody like Jack Smith or Alvin Bragg in the future brings a prosecution primarily for political reasons. And all this is primarily political. We're not talking about meat and potato crimes like larceny, grand theft auto, rape or murder. We're talking about conspiracy to blah, blah, blah. Most political prosecutions throughout history have conspiracy attached to them. So the prosecutor will say conspiracy to undermine the U.S. or whatever, but it's really an attack on the First Amendment. So I hope everybody will go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble and look up Kangaroo Court by Don Brown. Look it up, read it. Let's do a review on it. We need to get about 1 million copies out. We need to expose the Democrats for what they've done, and Kangaroo Court does that in part. At least I hope.
Yeah, actually, go get that. Get the book. You'll be glad you did. So I was talking with Linda Hansen, and she was actually on the committee with Herman Cain when he was running for president, and she speaks very. I wish he hadn't passed away. He's just a wonderful man. So I asked her I said, what would Herman think right now? What would Herman Cain think? And she said, oh, he would love Trump. And she said, he'd be in the cabinet. And I said, oh yeah, if he wanted to, he would. But what I mentioned to her is some of the things President Trump is talking about, and that's, no tax on, Social Security and all those things. I said, that sounds a little to me like fair tax.
Yeah, well.
I said, do you think he's going to do something like that and implement something like that? She thinks he is.
Well, Donna, he floated the idea just the other day of no income tax at all. Mm-hmm. And in an earlier segment, I was talking to you about his long interview with Joe Rogan when he was talking about tariffs under William McKinley, who was later assassinated, but how the tariffs, we lived in an era where there's so much money that the government had that it had to have a blue ribbon panel on how to spend it. So yes, fair tax is much better than what we've got. Eliminating the income tax altogether is something I would like to see. But I think we're going to see we have an opportunity for some very positively radical changes in this oppressive tax system. He's already talking about, no tax for waiters is brilliant. Mm-hmm. But by golly, we're being taxed on Social Security. The government takes your money, regardless of what you think of the system itself. They take your money all your life, force you to pay. And then when they give it back to you, they want to tax it. So they're taking $10 and really giving you back $6 or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's stealing. That's legalized stealing of our property. And I believe we could see something like that. I'd be all in favor of it. And I'd like to see, if you ask me, I wouldn't lose any sleep. If there was any one amendment I'd take out, the first it would be the 16th, that's income tax. And the second would be the 23rd, which allows D.C. to vote. I'd take them both out of that my way and leave everything else in.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm just excited. For the first time, I feel like, a lot of folks, a lot of Christians, or religious people, I'll say, not Christians, but religious people would say, well, it really doesn't matter who the president of the United States is, it's no big deal. But it is. It really is. They have to have the same core fundamental values that the Constitution was actually starting with. It has to be that close.
Right. Of course. And beyond that, not just the president, but who's in Congress. If you're a Christian, and you want the Constitution is a gift. It's a gift from God to this nation, and one of the greatest gifts in the First Amendment is the right to freely practice and exercise our religion. And we are a nation built on Christianity and Judaism, primarily Christianity. But there are people out there who attack Christians, call us bigots. Nobody gets mad at Muslims or Hindus or anybody else. Mm-hmm. It's Christians that they go after. And for a Christian to say it doesn't matter, well, if you want to be able to pray and worship without fear of persecution, you better believe it matters. Because if you don't get involved, eventually there will be persecution. And we see it in Canada already. They're arresting pastors up there for preaching. In fact, we saw it a lot during the COVID scam here in the United States. And I talk about this very thing in Kangaroo Court. I go through some of the pastors that were arrested in Louisiana and Florida and other places simply for having church. There is no emergency exception to prohibit free worship under the Constitution. The Constitution, there's no executive order that allows that constitutionally. Any executive order saying, well, you can't meet for worship or you can't meet for all, for that example, is a violation of the First Amendment. The right for freedom of association, freedom of speech, for freedom of religion, all these are solidified by the First Amendment. But yet, we saw that just 4 years ago or less than that. And for Christians, it doesn't matter. Well, if you don't care whether they can try to get away with doing that to you, if you don't care whether they can come in and arrest you for, gathering together to pray, if you don't care whether they can arrest you because you don't wear a freaking mask that what you wear, well, then stay away from the polls. But your vote makes a difference. Your voice makes a difference. And the whole notion, it doesn't matter. That's just a lie from the pit of you know where, because it does matter. Mm-hmm. The thing is, I hear people. Go ahead. I mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay. But I think Kamala actually helped it. I think she helped the people to get out and vote. When what she said to the two young guys, Jesus is king, Jesus, when they mentioned that, and she said, "Oh, that's for the other." I mean, and she was so smug about it.
You're at the wrong rally. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Ha.
Yeah.
It's a smaller rally down there. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Now look who's at the wrong rally, Kamala.
Yeah, I mean, even if you thought it, you wouldn't say it. I mean, if you're running for president, if you have any kind of brain about yourself at all, you wouldn't say that.
What you should say is, I agree with you. Jesus is king. Amen. That's what you should say.
But maybe you are supposed to be the one. I mean, something. I mean, you should agree that Jesus and Christ is king.
Right. Yeah.
You should.
Precisely. But you're at the wrong rally. She didn't want to hear any of that. And
but I think it helped that movement. I think a lot of people got off their lazy rears and went out and voted.
I think that probably did spur a lot of people, Donna. When you hear somebody running for president of the United States take that type of an attitude against Christians speaking out, that shows a lot about their true intentions, their true colors, their true philosophy. And she sure showed her philosophy with that comment, among other things as well. And she goes right back. I saw her concession speech yesterday. And, I concede this race, but I did not concede the fight. And the fight for abortion, blah, blah, everything's about abortion. I mean, they want to rally everything about abortion. People are just tired of hearing abortion all the time, But
well, any educated person at all would understand the president has nothing to do with that. Not if it's within the states. If you're in Alabama and you can't get an abortion, well, then go somewhere where you can and shut up.
And move somewhere else. If you want to do that,
move.
Move to California or move to Minnesota if you want to do that. If that's what matters that much to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I have a brilliant daughter-in-law who is from Russia originally, was brought here, you know the story, when she was 9 years old. And she had a brilliant idea. And she said, something could be illegals coming in who are going to vote. I'm pretty sure. She says it could be. They're going to vote. They went on ahead and took the money. But you have to know what it's like to live in a communist country, like my daughter-in-law lived in communist Russia. She said, when they come here, they don't want to come here to what they just left. So it could be, instead of voting for Kamala, a bunch of them voted for Trump.
No, there's no question. Trump won I'm trying to think of the county. Trump won the largest Latino county in the United States in Texas. Won the county flat out. And, And like I said earlier, Democrats overplaying their hand, and to an extent, the open borders thing has kind of hurt them some too, because they've had so many Latinos coming in, both legal and illegal, who are Catholic. Their background is Catholic, and they're very conservative. They don't want to see this stuff about abortion on demand or transgenders or transsex or dudes wearing women's high heels and dresses. They don't want, for their kids to, go in to a school and somebody trying to talk them into a sex change and not tell the parents. You're talking about basic conservative family values, and it's backfired a lot on the Democrats. So they, what they'd hoped to do was bring people across the border, and they have done this to a large degree. Don't get me wrong, but part of it's backfired on them. To a large degree, they come in and they try to put people on welfare. Like if you go into New York and you see how they put them in these hotels and stuff and give them vouchers. But on the other hand, those are people Democrats have brought in. But there are people who slipped across the border who are coming here to try to look for work, whether it's work as a painter or whatever. And those people don't agree with the Democrats' junk, their woke liberal philosophy. And the ones, I think, who they brought in, like in New York, the Haitians in Ohio and in New York, places like that, the Venezuelans, I don't think they're voting. I mean, I just don't think they are. The Democrats would like for them to vote, but I don't think they've been able to turn them out. So I think, to a large degree, some of their open immigration stuff bit them in the rear this time. It certainly helped us because we see the damage that these illegals are causing. But then there are some that are very quiet but have, pro-family values who are voting, and they are not voting Democrat to a large degree.
I want to mention the fashion statement. Now, it's unwritten, okay, but every election year, the first lady or ex-first lady, when they're going in to vote, they will wear the color of whatever political party they are with. In other words, a Democrat would wear blue and the Republican lady would wear red. So Jill Biden wears red.
Well, now, isn't that something? And Joe Biden happens to put on a MAGA hat. Of course, he's all over the place. He happens to go, listen, he goes on his laptop when she's out there in the ellipse, and that's when he makes his garbage comment, which takes away from her closing argument, they call it.
Uh-huh.
You just have to wonder, don't you, Donna? You
just have to wonder. Because I'm saying there were probably ill feelings about the guy because he wasn't ready to go. He was not. Remember, before he left out on the little vacation stay he was going to have, he said, "No, I'm still in. I'm still in."
Well, and I think even more. I think she's driving that determination also. I think from what I've read, they detested the Obamas, or she does anyway, because Obama said, "Joe, you're not ready," and he pushed Hillary into running in 2016, and now they've been pushed off the ticket. And Joe Biden would have gotten smashed by Trump. It wouldn't have been close. But he was elected in the Democrat primary. She wasn't elected in the Democrat primary. And I think that the whole thing about a red dress and him having to put on a MAGA hat, and I know he's demented, but I don't know if he's that demented. He never said that was an accident. And he's already invited Trump to the White House. How about that? Did you catch that?
I think you voted for him, and I think Jill did too, because people like that will turn on each other. I mean, that's the way it goes. They say they're with the grand old party, but when it comes right down to it, you hurt their feelings, they're going to go the other way. I just think he did, and I think the comment about the trash was on purpose to hurt her. I think he was sitting there hoping she wouldn't get it.
There could have been a method to his madness. Who knows? He's mad enough anyway. But
do you think he would have done better in the election had they just left him there than she did? Because she'd tell you she messed up.
Well, I don't know, Donna. I will always wonder that. And I go back and forth because Joe Biden is a guy who we've seen a lot of him. He seems to go in and out of cognitive states.
Yeah.
For example, you may remember when he was standing out there at some sort of event, and they were playing the bongo drums, and he's got Kamala on one side, and John Miller. He's standing there. He's coming off the stage the night that George Clooney decided to put him off with Obama. Obama leaves him off. He's like a mummy. Other times he seems more lucid. I think that apparently is very common with people who have dementia. Sometimes they have good days and bad days. I think there would have been probably enough bad days that he would have probably he may have gotten smacked. We'll never know. The difference is every time she talks, first of all, she can't make any lucid points at all. Now, he can make some lucid. He has in the past made some lucid points. You may not agree with him, but she cannot address anything substantively at all. And the whole thing all over again. I grew up in a middle class family. Yeah, you grew up in a middle class family in Canada, which that hasn't been exploited. I'm surprised that wasn't exploited. So you really grew up in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We'll never know, but it will be a subject of fascinating conversation, and just as fascinating as whether he really secretly might have voted for Trump. I do think he was furious. I think he was extremely. I mean, you look at the way, the questionable way in which his decision to step down was announced. It was like written on a piece of Scrabble, and nobody even knows who signed it. Ordinarily you would call a press conference and you say, "I've decided. Here's a conference. I'm going to step down." But no, it was strange all the way down. They pushed him out very, very clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows?
Well, do you think he's trying to make amends with Trump so he doesn't go to prison, or at least his son doesn't go to prison?
Could be. I mean,
I would like to be a fly on the wall at the meeting.
Yeah, I really don't think Trump cares whether Hunter Biden goes to prison or not. To the fact, he even said he might even pardon him. I don't think anybody really cares. The problem is the double standard, Donna. I mean, they gave Hunter Biden a sweetheart deal, and they were trying to make it even sweeter, and then the judge blew that up in Northern Virginia, and who knows? It's possible. Oh, Biden could still pardon him himself. What is he going to live? Which he might do, even though he said he wouldn't. He might do it on the last day. Mm-hmm. So he may do that rather than count on Trump doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a good point. But I think part of it, you invite him to the White House. You think of the timing on the second day. Come on to the White House. We'll talk. And, he didn't wait. He invited him immediately. This very same day that she was doing her concession speech. Today's Thursday, right? So we're 2 days out. So yesterday, he invites Trump to the White House. She's doing her concession speech. And you go back to the whole laptop thing when his supporters are garbage. Well, two things. One, he was speaking on a Zoom call at the very moment she's giving the biggest speech of her campaign, which takes away the fact that he's speaking. It's going to take away some attention to her.
It's little things like that.
Yeah, and then when he says the garbage thing, then the whole news cycle becomes the garbage thing, and she's forced to say, I don't agree. And that's ate up 2 days. And then Trump immediately is out there with a garbage truck the next day, and people wearing garbage bags. Billy and Karen Vaughn. I saw Billy Vaughn dressed in a garbage bag.
I got something for you. This is what I wore the day after.
Pretty good. Hey, but they're arrogant. They just are just arrogant. I mean, the whole, even going back to Jessica Tarlov, the Democrat of the Five, she was saying even when we try to break down an analysis of who votes for who, and we say most college educated are voting Democrat, that's an arrogant thing to say in some ways, because you're basically saying the more educated, the smarter you are, which is a bunch of crap. But she was recognizing that they're extremely arrogant, and people understand that. Look, Donna, personally, I've got more education than most people. Okay, I'm leveling with you. I'm just a nerd, but I'm no better than anybody, and I am
the same way. I love the study.
I grew up slopping hogs and working in tobacco, and I'd rather be with hard-working people than these snooty snobs with their freaking noses in the air, sipping their champagne and eating their crackers and cheese. The workers of this country are what make this country.
Trump knows that. Trump understands it.
Precisely. They have helped him build his real estate empire. He knows that. He's been out there amongst them. He sent his kids out there with hard hats to understand it's hard manual work. Now, that's not to take away from studying. I like to study and read, but I can study and read all I want, but that doesn't mean I can dig a ditch or fix the toilet or whatever it might be. No, I can do some of that stuff, just to be clear. But the point of the matter is, there's this upper educated class of arrogant immigrants. They think they're better than people that are not better. I love taking them on because, like I say, I'm generally more educated than they are, and I say that without boast or bravado. So I don't mind taking them on, but they just think that they are better because of their degrees, because of where they went to school. The riffraff out in flyover country and red country are somehow stupid and dumb. No, the dumb ones and the stupid ones are the ones who can't see the truth right in front of them.
Oh my goodness, take J.D. Vance, for goodness sakes. He came from absolutely nothing, but it was driving ambition like you and me, driving ambition where you wanted to do better. And there's nothing in the world wrong with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But just don't forget, we just can't forget where we're from and who we are. And a lot of them have. And it really came back to bite him this time, and rightfully so.
Absolutely. Let's talk about Trump and what he's going to do back in office once he gets back in. What is the very first? I don't think he's going to do the revenge thing because he wants to be. Because successful people, they throw revenge back and they go forward. And I really believe that's what he's going to do. What do you think he'll do first day on the job?
I think the first thing he'll do, he's going to order all of Biden's. He's going to reverse all of Biden's reversals of his policies. And put every one of those policies back in place, which is going to mean he's going to he'll focus on energy, probably reopening oil fields, both in Alaska and the Permian Basin, offshore. So he's going to do that. He's going to deregulate coal. He's going to sign executive orders to end woke recruitment in the military. That'll happen immediately. And I think the deregulation itself is you're going to see a slew of massive deregulation. And he knows, all he's got to do is first of all, you start with the blueprint you had before. And you just, if Biden reverse that stuff, we're going to reverse Biden. And it's going to be like gasoline on a fire in terms of its short-term effect on the economy. Then you got to get taxes under control. Then you've got to go after the deep state. Now, I'm encouraged. I heard Bobby Kennedy say that there are many, many departments within the FDA that need to be eliminated. That's the Democrats, and he's right about that because see, he knows that these departments are corrupt. So the thing that we know to a large degree what Trump's going to do because we've seen him do it before, and it's going to be deregulate. But the thing that's going to be interesting to see is how is he going to use Bobby Kennedy? How is he going to use Elon Musk? And by the way, the New Hampshire Libertarian Party endorsed Trump. The New Hampshire Libertarian Party endorsed Trump the day before the election, along with Joe Rogan, by the way. And Trump's talking about bringing Ron Paul into his administration to work on deregulatory stuff. I mean, these are when you look at Ron Paul, you look at Bobby Kennedy, you look at Elon Musk, you're looking at thinkers. I mean, you're not looking at bureaucrats. You know, with Bobby Kennedy and Elon Musk, you're looking at guys, and Ron Paul also. You're looking at guys who have done things, who have thought through things, who have placed ideas. Ron Paul's one of those guys. He's kind of a libertarian guy. His son's Rand Paul is a great senator, and he's on the libertarian side, and that's fine. But you know, when you talk about a Venn diagram, we Republicans and conservatives have a whole lot more in common with libertarians than we do with Democrats, especially when it comes to deregulating and getting the government off the backs of the people.
Absolutely.
And so what I want to see is how is he going to put these task force together to start rooting out the cancer that's within the deep state. You've got to root out the deep state. I've said it when I was running for Congress. I'll say it as long as I'm able to say it. We have to go to war against the deep state. What I mean by that, we've got to cut agencies. We've got to stop hiring. We need a freeze. I mean, I was running on what I proposed, a Deep State Reduction Act, which freeze a number of federal employees, would reduce, the number of federal employees over 10 years. And you could do that in large part just by letting them retire out over 10 years and not replace them. But then you got to cut, and you got to take agencies out. We got to go after the Department of Education. We got to go after every DEI agency. I hope that Trump will, and I think that he will, go after and eliminate every DEI agency in the federal government. I hope that we see an end to Gay Pride Month. Now, I'm not anti-gay, don't get me wrong, or anything like that. I mean, everybody is, born formed in the image of God, but to spend a whole month, beating a philosophy down people's throats. We don't have Christian Pride Month, Donna. We don't have Republican Pride Month. We don't have Alabama Pride Month. We don't have fans of Donna Pride Month. So
well, they're starting one next week on me.
Well, I would support that, but
I support you too.
There are private fans in the private sector get farther than the government could do. So I think I want to see him weed this woke crap out of the government.
We're just all tired of it. We're all just completely fed up with it. Okay, let me ask you this, because we have about 2 minutes left in the segment. Okay, so it's a few weeks before he takes over his presidency. Is there going to be something happen before he can take office?
Well, Donna, we got to pray for him. I mean, remember,
they're a little quiet out there. It makes me wonder.
You and I feel a great sense of relief today, a great sense of gratitude. We've uttered prayers of thanksgiving, and so have millions and millions of others. But we can't stop that praying because, do I think he's in danger? Yeah, I do. I mean, the reason I say this is because look what's happened already. Mm-hmm. And it's the Secret Service fundamentally better than they were in August? I can't say they are, or July. I can't say that. And the Democrats continue to call him Hitler and this kind of stuff. So when the Democrats have used this inflammatory language, they rile people up. It looks like Greg Gutfeld says, when you call him that and call him that and call him that, you think you can get away with anything to stop him. And so, yes, I'm concerned. I am concerned, and so we have to continue to pray for safety. I really hope that the Secret Service is going to have an overhaul. We need professionals in there.
Yes, we do.
The idea is you leave a doggone top of a building wide open, only 150 yards or so from where the former president and next president is speaking, and you don't have that covered. There is absolutely no justifiable excuse or reason for that. And you have to wonder, was it by design? And I wouldn't surprise me in the least bit if the answer to that question were yes.
Absolutely. Don, we're going to have to call it a day. Time flies by when you're having fun. Thank you so much for being on the show. And thank you guys so much for watching. Don, again, the book, how can they find it?
The book is Kangaroo Court by Don Brown. Please go on Amazon right now. Type in Kangaroo Court Don Brown. Please order a bunch of copies and pass them out, really. Order 4, 5, 6 and pass them out to folks. Let's get some reviews out. This has got to be something that's got to be exposed. Decided to do it in the book so that it will be easy reading. And God bless everybody for considering the reading Kangaroo Court by Don Brown.
Absolutely. And if you are homeschooling, that's a book for the kids. You need to grab that. Again, Thank you so much for being with us. Hope you have a super duper awesome rest of the day today.